Most people chasing passive income are buying into lies. They are told that they can make money while they sleep, but in reality, these businesses they have are going to take 60+ hour weeks just to break even. I'm Ben Kelly, and I have 7 businesses that generate over $850,000 a year in cash flow. And I've watched people lose their life savings, chasing passive income dreams that turned into expensive nightmares. The internet is flooded with gurus selling strategies. They've never actually made money with themselves. Today, I'm using a tier maker to rank 10 different passive income strategies, ranking all the way from S tier down to F tier. I'm judging everything based on real criteria like risk, how long it takes to make money, and how passive it actually is. I'm not putting business acquisition at the top just because that's what I teach. Everything is going to get ranked honestly. By the end of this video, you know exactly what passive income strategies are worth your time and money in 2025, and which ones will just waste both. Before I start throwing these strategies into different tiers, let me explain how exactly I'm going to judge them. I'm going to use 4 main criteria that I think matter most when choosing how to build passive income. Risk level. How much money can you lose if things go wrong? Some strategies you can lose your entire investment, and others have safety nets that are built into them. Time to profitability. How long before you're actually making money? Some things take years to pay off. Others can generate income within months. Scalability. Can you grow this without working more hours? The best passive income businesses can grow while you sleep. Recession resistance. What happens to your income when the economy tanks? Some of these actually get stronger during tough times. I'm going to rank everything from S tier, which is amazing, to F tier, which is complete garbage that you should forget about and never touch. And yes, I'm going to be brutally honest about all the downsides to all the things I talk about, including the stuff that I'm doing. All right, so now we're going to start doing the rankings. The first one up is real estate rental properties. Where do I put real estate rental properties when it comes to the best all the way down to the worst? I'm not going to put it up at the best spot. And there might be some of you out there that are like, oh no, I've invested a bunch in real estate rental properties, or that's what my parents do, or I know people who do it. And it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that if you're looking at it from a couple different objective standards, it's not going to be your best performing investment. Is the risk level much lower than some of these other ones? Yes, it is. Okay, so it's going to be towards the top of our list here when it comes to passive income, but it's also not very passive. And anyone out there who owns rental properties knows this is true. Unless you have a property management company that you're paying 10% per year of your rental income to manage it for you, it is a job. It is a part-time job, but it is a job. And so we're going to put it kind of smack dab right in the letter B. It's not the top 2. It's not the bottom 2. I had to guess between B and C. I'm going to put it at B. All right, so next up we have Airbnb. I'm trying to score this off the 4 different criteria that we talked about earlier in this video. Now, if we're talking about risk level, Airbnb is definitely higher up on the risk chart than a rental property is, because the property is not guaranteed to rent out. You are hoping to get a premium for the rent for a short-term stay, but you got to beat out all the other short-term rentals in your area for someone to choose your house to stay at. And so your vacancy rate is going to be lower than if you just did a long-term rental like the previous strategy. So risk level is going to be a little higher. Profitability, time to profit, you can profit fairly quickly. Within 30 days, you can have an Airbnb up, ready, listed on Airbnb, and booking short-term tenants so that you can start making money. Scalability. Is Airbnb scalable? It is scalable. Now, it's not the easiest scalable business because you have to go get more properties. And getting a property takes a loan, takes your cash, or it takes a rental agreement to sublease out from a landlord that's okay with you Airbnb their property. So it's not the easiest to scale because you have a finite resource, which is housing, that you need to find. So on that scale, it's going to be a little on the lower side. Now, recession resistance. This is where Airbnb can get a lower score. If you're in an area that has always high demand, regardless of the recession or not, think New York City, think these other places where there's going to be people living in and moving and grooving regardless of how the recession is going, then yes. But if you're like most people who have an Airbnb, you're in a vacation town, you're somewhere where people want to be, and when a recession happens, they have less disposable income, which means less travel, which means less booking Airbnbs. They're probably just going to go to a hotel because it's cheaper. So with all these things in mind, I'm going to put an Airbnb at C when it comes to passive income. 1, it's not passive. 2, it's not the most recession resistant. It's not very scalable on an easy way. And it's something where time to profitability is pretty quick, but the other 3 are kind of lower scores. So we're going to put that at C. All right, next is stock market index funds. We're going to go through those same 4 criteria. So right here I have stock market index funds. You can see with my cursor, and we're going to decide what is the risk level. Now, since index funds are made up of hundreds, if not thousands of stocks within a certain index, you're spreading out your concentration risk, so it's less risky. And historically, when you look at index funds, they've performed better than pretty much anything else in the market over a long period of time. So risk level is pretty low. So So it gets a good score there. Time to profitability, well, you can put your money in that day and you can make a return on your money if the market goes up. So could be very quickly. Scalability, yes, very scalable. Like the more money you have, more cash flow, or the more investment that you put into it, the bigger your return is going to be. Very scalable. And then recession resistance. This is where it gets a little tricky. In a recession, all markets, including stocks, go down. It all depends on how far they go down. Individual stocks will have much higher loss rates. Index funds will still be lower, but they're diversified through hundreds and thousands of stocks in all different types of sectors. So they will drop less. So in a recession, they are less risky than other areas of passive income investment. So because of this, index funds, they're pretty much at 3 out of the 4 categories, they're scoring at the top, and in recession resistance, they're probably somewhere in the middle. So because of that, I'm going to be putting the index funds way up at the top in the S category. The next on our list we have is dividend stocks. Now let's go to the 4 criteria and see how this scores up. When we first talk about dividends, let's just do a quick primer on what they are. Dividends are the cash flow from the stocks that you own. Some stocks pay dividends, some don't. The ones that do pay dividends do at different yields or different rates. Some, like Pepsi, will do a dividend where it might end up being 5 cents a share. Some stocks like MSTY, which is pretty popular right now with YieldMax, based off MSTR, that could pay you 100% on your money in 1 year. Crazy dividends. Depending on which one you're choosing, you're going to get a much different result. MSTY, because it pays out an insane yield, is also at a very high risk of dropping in value over time. But something like Pepsi will appreciate over time as the company continues to grow. So it depends on which ones you're doing. But for this example right here, I'm going to just do the traditional dividend stock, something like a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola or a Home Depot pays out to their investors. Profitability here, again, can be fairly quick. It depends on when those dividend payouts happen. Typically, they happen on a yearly basis. So depending on when you invest, it could be within a couple months or it could be an entire year. I'm gonna give them a mid-level rating when it comes to profitability. Risk level, I would give it a pretty low risk. Now, there's not no risk because again, you're investing typically in individual stocks and these can go up or they can go down. So I probably would give it a mid-level on there as well. Now, scalability. Scalability, I'm gonna give less than index funds because they are diversified. These are typically in individual stocks, although you can have ETFs that pay out dividends. For this example, I'm just talking about single stocks. So with single stocks and dividends, scalability, I would give it probably more so than not. You can use those dividends when you get them, reinvest them into more stock ownership, which is going to grow your share count. And hopefully over time, it's going to grow the value of your portfolio. So I'll give it towards the top. Recession resistance, because these are based in this example on individual stocks. In recessions, almost all stocks will drop. Individual stocks will drop more than index funds. So therefore, I'm going to give it more towards the bottom. So if I'm looking at all of these together, I'm going to kind of put this right where I kind of put the rental properties at when it comes to their total profile when it comes to passive income. The next one we have is bond and CD investing. Okay, so the risk level on these are going to be very, very low. Okay, so you're going to have a very high score in that category. Then you have time to profitability. Now, typically CDs or certificates of deposit, they take time before you get a return, right? You can't just invest in it today and then tomorrow go in and ask for it back. You have to, it has a lockup period. And so same thing with bonds. These are 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year terms, sometimes even 20 years. Scalability, not much at all. Right? Once you put it in, that's kind of what it is, and it's at a fixed rate that you know you're going to make. So scalability, I would put at a very low score here. Recession resistance, they're a bond which is backed by a company or an asset. They're pretty good in recession resistance. If you get into a bond and then all of a sudden the country goes into recession, as long as that company still stays solvent or the municipality that you invested in stays solvent, you'll get paid back on your bond. Very low risk when it comes to that as well. So with all those things, and especially when we talk about passivity, I'm going to throw this up here in the A category because really in 3 out of the 4 categories, it does really well. All right, now we got a fun one. We got vending machines. And so let's go through the criteria with this real quick. So when we talk about risk level, vending machines are definitely more risky than index funds. They're definitely more risky than bonds. They're probably in the same category I would put as rental property, okay? It all depends on the location you put it in. Vending machines can perform extremely well in certain locations, and in other locations they're not going to perform at all. Now, the cost of getting a vending machine, filling it up with your products, is fairly low when it comes to businesses. And so your risk of capital is lower than almost every other business out there. And so risk level, I would put this in mid-tier for risk level. Time to profitability could be immediate. The day you put in the vending machine, you're making money. Scalability, very scalable. The second you start making a profit on that one machine, you can take the profits from that machine, go buy another machine, put it in a new location. Recession resistance, believe it or not, vending machines do well in recessions. They're basically just convenience food, right? So if someone's at an office, someone is at the car dealership waiting for, their car to get fixed, whatever the case may be, if people are hungry and they see one, they're going to buy from it. And so it actually gets 3 out of the 4 pretty well it does in these categories. So I'm actually going to throw vending machines probably in B, because when we talk about passive income, it's not very passive. You got to fill it up almost every week or have someone else do it for you. So I'm going to put it right there at the B category. All right, next we have franchise ownership. Let's go through the 4 categories. So the risk level is definitely higher. Now you're owning a business, you're definitely taking on the risk of ownership. Things go right, that's awesome, you make money. Things go wrong, you lose money. So at this point, it's a much larger investment than a vending machine. We're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So the risk level is much higher. Now, time to profitability. Depending on how you financed it, it could be day 1 or it could be a year or 2 in, right? It really depends on how you finance it. If you finance it and structure it the right way, then yes, you're gonna be seeing profitability right away on your franchise. Scalability. Franchises, which is why we all know what they are very scalable. They're an easy way for a business to utilize a brand power to grow fast. So they're very scalable, but it takes a lot of capital, and it also is increasing the amount of risk the more properties and businesses that you have. Recession resistance. Now it depends on the type of franchise. Now you see the picture right here, I have McDonald's. McDonald's in recessions do fine. Actually, in recessions, McDonald's and other fast food choices are actually not affected very much. The restaurants that will be affected are your more high-end dining, will be more affected. The more sit down, spending 30, 50 bucks a pop per person, those are the types of restaurants and dining facilities that are gonna get hurt in a recession. McDonald's, not so much. And that's the benefit of buying into a franchise that has built a brand over decades. People see the golden arches, they automatically wanna go get their Big Mac and their chicken nuggets. So because of that, I'm gonna put this probably in the D category. Again, we're talking about passive income strategies. So before you start saying, well, these things are worth millions and people who own them make millions, correct, but they're not doing it in a passive way. Owning a franchise is a big deal, and most franchises will not let their ownerships be passive. They want you to be active in the day-to-day. So that's why it goes down to D, even though owning a McDonald's, you're gonna make more doing that than any of these other options here. All right, next we have affiliate marketing. So let's go through the 4 criteria. On the risk level, this is a business model, okay? So we're taking affiliate marketing as you're finding a product and you're going out there and you are blasting it out on all different channels so people can go and buy that product, and then you're gonna get a fee based on how many times that this thing is bought. So it's an affiliate marketing business, and we're gonna kind of do it based off SEO right now. So in that type of category, the risk level is fairly low. I mean, most of the time you're starting this from scratch, very little startup costs. It's really just understanding how to pick a great product at a great price and being able to know how to drive traffic to it. So it's more of a skill level thing, but once you understand that skill level, you don't have to invest tens of thousands of dollars to do this. You can start small, and as you continue to make money, you can scale this. So which brings me to scalability. Very scalable. So extremely scalable. Time to profitability could be instantaneous. Recession resistance, it depends on your product. If you're picking products that are evergreen, products that are essential, like we talked about in our previous videos, then you can be at a very low risk level. If you're picking something that's super trendy, it could be a much higher risk level, okay? But for the sake of the argument, let's just say you're based on essential services. So in all categories, it actually does fairly well. Now, the only thing that it's really not is passive. You're gonna be working on this business. So I'm gonna put it back up here, and it scored pretty well, but not passive. I'm gonna probably put it in the B category alongside a vending machine. It scores really well in all the categories, but at the end of the day, this is passive income strategies. It's not passive, okay? That's why the only 2 that are up in S and A are the ones that are actually passive. Next, we have digital products. Digital products are pretty cool because they are something that can be passive completely after your initial creation of the product. So this is something where you can create something, spend some active time, maybe a few hours, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month. But once you're done with it, you can, depending on the product, if it's evergreen, you can kind of set it and forget it. And then at that point, you're hoping that traffic continues to find your product and buy it. So risk level, very low. Most people who build digital products, you're talking hundreds of dollars out of pocket to build it. So it's not crazy high on the risk level at all. Profitability could be instantaneous. As soon as you're done with the product, you put it on the market, put it in your social media profile, whatever, you can make money quick. Scalability, very scalable. Because it's one-time effort to create a product, it's now digital, it's not real world. Therefore, 1 million people can buy it in one day, or 5 people can buy it in a day. It doesn't ask you to have more energy spent for the 1 million versus the 5. You make it, someone finds it, they buy it, processor processes the payment, the product's automatically sent to them. You're not doing anything in that process. And so these are very scalable, and depending on the product, can be very recession resistant. Now, if you're selling a very low cost product, maybe $27, teaching people how to go and buy a business, for instance, or teaching people how to go and fix their HVAC system when it doesn't work right before they go and pay hundreds of dollars for the repairman to come. Whatever the product is, if you're choosing an evergreen product where people are going to need that knowledge for the foreseeable future, then these can be very low risk, they can be scalable, they can be recession resistant, and they also can be very quick in time to profitability. Because it does take initial effort to get to the point where you can sell this product, it's not completely passive like a bond or CD or doing index funds. So I'm not going to necessarily put it at the top with the index funds, but I'm going to put it kind of with the CD and bonds. And the reason why is because I've created multiple digital products before. I've actually told people to create them for me and they build it much better than I could. And then we sell it and I do no work in the process whatsoever. So you can get it to be fairly passive. So that's why I'm going to put it up in the A category. And last but certainly not least, we have business acquisition, which is what I do. Okay. And I'm going to give you a completely transparent and honest review of business acquisition. I'm not going to go here and throw it up to the top and say it's better than everything here. Just do it and follow my link in the bio. Not going to do that. Okay. Because it's not. It's not going to be at the top. It's actually going to be more towards the bottom when it comes to a passive income strategy. Remember, the key word here is passive. If we're talking about the strategy where you're going to make the most money, then yeah, I would put business acquisition right here at the top along with the McDonald's franchise. That's not the question. The question is passive income. You don't want to have anything to do with it once you set it up, and that's why we're scoring it the way we're scoring it. So, without further ado, what is the risk level when it comes to business acquisition? It's pretty high. Compared to these others, it's high. You are taking out a loan just like a franchise. You are hoping that the business profit is going to pay back that loan, okay? And a lot of times you're going to have a personal guarantee on this loan. Time to profitability. Now, just like the franchise, how you structure the deal here is really important. If you structure it correctly, time to profitability can be very quick. Or if you don't structure it poorly and take on huge amounts of leverage, it can take a while before you're truly profitable. So it really depends when it comes to that. Scalability. Just like a franchise, business acquisition is very scalable. I have some students who have bought 3 businesses in 18 months. Then I have others who took 18 months to do 1 deal. It all depends on the industry, the size of the deal, your experience, the ability to receive financing for those types of deals. There's so many different factors. So scalability is there. You can absolutely scale very quickly, but it takes a lot of effort to do it. Recession resistance. This is where I feel business acquisition can be really good because we only focus on industries that are recession resistant. So we go and buy businesses that are essential services, stuff that even if the crap hits the fan, people still need these services. And so we buy those services, because we want to be able to know that in recessions, we're still going to have customers. So with all that in mind, where would I put business acquisition? I'm going to throw it up here, or am I going to throw it down here? I think I'm going to have to throw it at D on this list. And that might shock you because that's exactly what I spend most of my time teaching people to do and what I do myself. I'm not spending a huge amount into index, bonds, portfolios. I'm not doing rental properties. I'm not doing dividend stocks really that much. I'm not even doing vending machines or Airbnb, right? And yet I'm scoring them higher. And again, it goes back to the question, this was passive income, meaning you don't do anything and you can make a good return. So I put business acquisition down at D. Now that I'm done though, right? We got to the end of the list. All of them are on here. I'm gonna see if I kind of want to keep this structure because now that I put everything on the board, I think there's some inconsistencies that I should probably rearrange. I'm still gonna keep index funds at the top because that is definitely very, very passive. I'm also gonna put the bonds at the S as well. Because while it's something that is not as scalable as index funds are, when we're talking about passive, it's extremely passive. I mean, once you make the investment, you don't do anything, right? You just live life, and eventually you make a return. I'm gonna put the digital products, I'll still keep them in A, because at the beginning it's not passive. You gotta create the product, come up with a marketing scheme, but once you put it into place, whether you're doing ads, whether you're doing posts on social, you can get to the point where that digital product is selling without spending a huge amount of time. So I'll put that in the A. I'm still gonna keep, you know what? I'm probably gonna take the rental property and put that down with Airbnb. Now I know on the front end, Airbnb can be more time intensive, but most people are using property management services for their Airbnb. And same thing with rental properties. So if you take that off your plate, then you're really not spending too much active time in it, but it's definitely not good when it comes to recession resistance. You know what? Nah, I'll put it back. Airbnb is less recession resistant. A long-term rental is more recession resistant. So I'm gonna keep that at B. Affiliate marketing, definitely active, but low cost, low risk, very scalable. Keep that where it is. Vending, definitely. You know what? With dividends, I'm gonna put that up in A, okay? I'm gonna put that near digital products. The reason why, I'm gonna put that up here because I did the example where these dividends are in single stocks. Single stocks have more risk in recession versus index funds versus bonds. So I'm not gonna put it at the top, I'm gonna put that in A. Vending machines definitely take work to scale. So you know what? While they have less recession resistance, everything else, they are very active. So I'm going to put that down with Airbnb actually. I think this, and look, everything's even now. I have 2 in each category, and you can see right now I have nothing in F, which is the garbage category. And the reason why I'm not going to put anything in F is because all of these things at one time or another, I probably have tried. I haven't tried Airbnb. I haven't tried bonds, but everything else, and I haven't really tried affiliate marketing, but everything else I have tried. And so I don't see them as garbage because in most of the things I made money. I just didn't want to scale it, or it was too much to scale, or it wasn't as big as I wanted to play. I wanted to get bigger. And that's why I didn't focus too much time on it, and why I focused on business acquisition, because I truly believe business acquisition is the best way to grow wealth in the fastest period of time. So that's why I focus on it. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna end here. I got 2 in each category, and I think this is as good a list I can get. If you're someone who wants to learn business acquisition specifically the way I do it, I actually have a free course on YouTube that's like an hour long, and you can go check it out. It breaks down step by step how to get started and goes through the entire process to getting your first deal done. So if that's what you're interested in, go check it out. And if you're looking to work with me more on a one-to-one basis inside of my community, I have a link for that as well in the description. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you disagree with any of my rankings. I'm interested to see what you guys think. See you on the next video.